The 26-year-old is absolutely in her prime. She won her in 2017, so here she is, 8 years later, retaking the title.
ዛሬ በህንድ ኮልካታ ከተማ የተፈጠረው ምናልባትም በአትሌቲክስ ታሪክ ለዘላለም ሊፈጠር የማይችል ይሆናል። ኢትዮጵያውያን አትሌቶች በ2025 ታታ ስቲል ኮልካታ የ25 ኪሎ ሜትር ውድድር ከአንደኛ እስከ 9ኛ ያለውን ደረጃ ማንንም ሳያስገቡ በማጠናቀቅ አስገራሚ የሚባል ገድል መፈጸም ችለዋል። ደጊቱ አዝመራው፣ ሱቱሜ አሰፋ፣ መሰለች አለማየሁ፣ ኩፍቱ ታሂር፣ ደምለው ዘመናው፣ ነጻነት ተፈራ፣ ረዲኤት ዳንኤል፣ አበራሽ ምንሰዎና እርጋጥ ሐሼ የዚህ ታሪክ ተቋዳሽ ሆነዋል። በኮልካታ ዛሬ ታሪክ ተፈጸመ። ደጊቱ አዝመራውና ሱቱሜ አሰፋ አስገራሚ የአሸናፊነት ትንቅንቅ ባደረጉበት ውድድር ሁሉም ኢትዮጵያውያን አትሌቶች ከአንደኛ እስከ 9ኛ ሆነው ባጠናቀቁበት መድረክ ደጊቱ የአንደኛነት ስፍራውን ይዛ ጨርሳለች። የ25 ኪሎ ሜትሩን ውድድር በበላይነት ስታጠናቅቅ ከዚህ ቀደም በተከታታይ 2 ዓመታት በ2024 እና በ2023 አሸናፊ ሆና የጨረሰችውን ሱቱሜ አሰፋን ከኋላ አስከትላ መግባት ችላለች። የተወደዳችሁ የኢትዮ አትሌቲክስ ተከታታዮች ዛሬ በህንድ የተፈጸመውን አስገራሚውን የ25 ኪሎ ሜትር የኢትዮጵያውያኑን ድል ቪዲዮ ይዘን መተናል። ላይክ፣ ሼር፣ ኮሜንት በማድረግ ይህ ቪዲዮ ለብዙ ሰዎች እንዲዳረስ አግዙን። ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰባችን መሆኑን እንዳትዘነጉት። ይህ የርቀት አይነት በብዙዎች ዘንድ የተለመደ አይደለም። የ25 ኪሎ ሜትር ሩጫ ግማሽ ማራቶንም አይደለ፣ ሙሉ ማራቶንም አይደለም። ነገር ግን ከግማሽ ትንሽ ከፍ ያለ ውድድር። በዓለም አትሌቲክስ ይህ ውድድር እውቅና የተሰጠው ነው። በርካታ ውድድሮች ይደረጋሉ። በ25 ኪሎ ሜትር የዓለም ክብረ ወሰን በማራቶኑ ንጉስ በኤሊዩድ ኪፕቾጌ እጅ ይገኛል። የሴቶቹ ደግሞ ሩት ቼፕቴጌይ ይዛዋለች። ዛሬ በህንድ ኮልካታ የተደረገው ይህ የ25 ኪሎ ሜትር ውድድር ጅማሮውን 2014 ያደረገ ነበረ። በባለፉት ከ10 ዓመታት በላይ ለቆየ ጊዜ ሲደረግ ኢትዮጵያውያን አትሌቶች በተደጋጋሚ በበላይነት ማጠናቀቅ ችለዋል። በዚህኛው ውድድር ሱቱሜ አሰፋ ከበደ የ2024 እና 2025 የቶኪዮ ማራቶን አሸናፊ ደግሞ የኮልካታ የ25 ኪሎ ሜትርን ባለፉት 2 ዓመታት በድል ያጠናቀቀችው አትሌት በበላይነት ተቋጨዋል ተብሎ ተጠብቆ ነበረ። ለሶስተኛ ጊዜ በማሸነፍ ሃትሪክ ትሰራለች የብዙዎች ግምት ነበረ። የ2024 የሂውስተን ግማሽ ማራቶን አሸናፊዋ ሱቱሜ አሰፋ ግን ይህንን ውድድር ማሸነፍ አልቻለችም። ይልቁኑ ደጊቱ አዝመራው በበላይነት ልታጠናቀቅ ችላለች። በ2025 በላንዡ ማራቶን አሸናፊ ሆና የጨረሰችው ይቺ ሴት ቁመተ ሎጋዋ ደጊቱ አዝመራው በባርሰሎና ማራቶንም የ2024 አሸናፊ ነበረች። የ25 ኪሎ ሜትሩን ውድድር በበላይነት አጠናቃ አንደኛ ሆና መጨረስ ችላለች። የፈጀባት ሰዓት ደግሞ 1 ሰዓት ከ19 ከ36 ሰከንድ ነበረ። ሱቱሜ አሰፋ ሁለተኛ ሆና ስትጨርስ 1 ሰዓት ከ20 ከ28 ፈጅቶባታል። መሰለች አለማየሁ ደግሞ 1 ሰዓት ከ20 ከ48 የፈጀባት ሰዓት ነው። አራተኛ፣ አምስተኛ፣ ስድስተኛ፣ ሰባተኛ፣ 8 እና 9ም በኢትዮጵያውያን አትሌቶች የተያዘ ሆኗል። ይህንን ውድድር ከአንደኛ እስከ 9ኛ ሆኖ ያጠናቀቁት ኢትዮጵያውያን የፈጀባቸው ሰዓት 1 ሰዓት ከ25 በታች ሆኖ መመዝገቡም በርካቶችን ያስደነቀ ነበረ። በወንዶቹ ውድድር ሃይማኖት አለው ትልቅ የአሸናፊነት ግምት ተሰጥቶት ነበረ። በታታ ሙምባይ ማራቶን በ2024 ከዚህ ቀደም ሁለተኛ ሆኖ የጨረሰ ነበረ። ሃምበርግ ማራቶንንም በ2024 ጀርመን ላይ ሁለተኛ ነበር። እዚያው ጀርመን በበርሊን ማራቶን ሶስተኛ ሆኖ ከዚህ ቀደም ሲያጠናቅቅ አይተነዋል። ነገር ግን ድሉ የሄደው ለዩጋንዳዊው አትሌት ጆሹዋ ቸፕተጋይ ነበረ። ይህ የ10,000 እና የ5,000 ሜትር የዓለም ክብረ ወሰንን ከቀነኒሳ በቀለ ላይ የነጠቀው አትሌት በአንደኛነት አጠናቋል። የፈጀበት ሰዓት ደግሞ 1 ሰዓት ከ11 ደቂቃ ከ49 ሰከንድ ሆኖ ተመዝግቧል። በቶኪዮ ዓለም ሻምፒዮና አንደኛ ሆኖ ማራቶንን የጨረሰው ታንዛኒያዊው አትሌት አልፎንስ ፌሊክስ ሲምቡ ሁለተኛ ሆኖ ማጠናቀቅ ችሏል። ቴቤሎ ደግሞ ከሌሶቶ ሶስተኛ ሆኖ የጨረሰ ነው። ኢትዮጵያዊው ፍቃዱ ሊቼ ስድስተኛ ሲሆን ትልቅ ግምት የተሰጠው ሃይማኖት አለው ደግሞ 8ኛ ሆኖ ለመጨረስ ተገዷል። ንጉሴ አበራ ውድድሩን 9ኛ ሆኖ መቋጨት ችሏል። ሴቶቹ አትሌቶች ከአንደኛ እስከ 9ኛ ሆኖ ቢያጠናቅቁም በወንዶቹ ግን በሜዳሊያ ሰንጠረዥ ውስጥ መግባት ሳይቻል ቀርቷል። የተወደዳችሁ የኢትዮ አትሌቲክስ ተከታታዮች ይህንን አስገራሚ ውድድር ምናልባትም በአትሌቲክስ ታሪክ ለዘላለም ከማይረሱ አጋጣሚዎች መካከል አንደኛው ተብሎ ሊጻፍ የሚችለውን የኮልካታ 25 ኪሎ ሜትር ውድድርን እስከ መጨረሻው ድረስ በመከታተል እንድትዝናኑበት ጋበዝናችሁ። ላይክ፣ ሼር፣ ኮሜንት በማድረግ ተሳተፉ። ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰባችን መሆኑን እንዳትዘነጉት። ሰላም።
There's one or two in the USA. There used to be a big one in Berlin, Germany, but they are very rare now because World Athletics have announced certain distances are world record distances. Marathon, half marathon, 10K, 25K is not a world record distance. So right. The best time ever is the world best.
Right, and also in the course, as these elite athletes take on the streets of Kolkata, they'll be passing by this 42 building, which is iconic in Kolkata. It is Kolkata's tallest building, and also just the fact that it goes against Kolkata's skyline. It stands for resilience. It stands for the fact that when you want to be best, you've got to be a cut above the rest. All right, we're back to the elite race. What are the wishes? The sun's just coming out. Now things become a little different. What's the weather like, and how does that support the race today?
Well, they'll be delighted with this weather. I mean, it really is gorgeous running conditions. You know, back in Ethiopia, I was talking to one of the Ethiopians a couple of days ago. He said, yeah, it's very warm back in Ethiopia now. It's summer, effectively. They'll be acclimatized running in the heat, but they will find these temperatures, 17, 18 degrees, and it'll climb a little bit this morning, but not much before they finish. They will find this absolutely perfect. Now, what's interesting is, look, only 16 minutes on the clock, and in the orange and white there, that's Joshua Cheptegei getting to the front. Where are the pacemakers? They should be in the front, guiding him along. Now, maybe he'll have a word with them. He might shout at them, come on, pick it up, boys. You're meant to be helping me. I shouldn't be having to hit the front.
All right. Well, we'll get to see the pacemakers soon. That's a question that definitely arises. I think they're just coming from behind. I think he's a little faster than the pacemakers here.
Well, it's his way of, even if he hasn't said anything, it's his way of communicating with them that they need to pick it up. You know, he's looking for around 251, 252 per kilometre. And if they slipped outside that, now I haven't got any splits yet. Our split screen isn't working, but that's 6K. Well, that's very useful. 6K there, and what about 17, 18? So I can extrapolate from that, if you give me a few seconds, what sort of tempo they're on. But did I 17, 18, didn't I? Yes.
Yes. Right.
That's a big pack, though. I like this. The fact that there's 10 of them there, maybe 10 or 12 of them there, is a good sign.
Right, we were talking about the split. Now, that this is for our reference, but how do these athletes, how do the elite athletes, how does Cheptegei split this distance for himself?
Well, he'll be getting information. I mean, I know that there are some of the elite field coordinators are on motorbikes just ahead of them, so occasionally they will drop back and shout at the athletes what their splits are, whether they're on schedule or not. The pacemakers can use that information. The pacemakers, if they find out up to 10 kilometres that they're going too slowly, they know they've got to pick it up a bit and put in 2 or 3 kilometres slightly harder. You know, it is difficult. We've got to remember these are not machines, they are mortals, so they are fallible, but hopefully they will be on schedule. I'm just going, you talk amongst yourself, Redeemer. I'm going to look at my pace chart.
Yeah. Well, I'm just intrigued as to how in a 25K you maintain the balance between strength as well as speed. Now, which part of this race would they actually try to speed up? In the last 5 kilometers is where we see that kind of force that will be shown from these athletes. You've got the best of the best in the world here competing in the 25K. You've got a double Olympic champion as well as the reigning world champion taking on to the field. But also in the Indian elite men, you've got some stiff competition. Right now we're taking a look at the international elite men, but just talking about the Indian elite men. And here we're taking a look at the women. Remember, you've got Kebede who's going on for a hat trick. What do you make of that right now, Tim?
Well, she's looking strong, looking comfortable, tucked in behind the pacemakers there. She is a nice looking runner. really good power to weight ratio, strong legs. There in the white vest, Kebede tucked in right behind the pacemakers. She's paying very close attention to them. She knows this course well, and actually she's confident. It always really helps to come back to a race you've done before. You know the course, you know the feeling, you know the hotel, you feel at home.
Right. All right, we'll take a short break here now and we'll get you all the updates. But before I head to the break, let me remind you of the quiz that we've got for you. And the quiz is very simple. I'm going to show you a QR code that you scan and then you just put in your answers. And the questions are the done. Remember, there is a Kebede who's targeting a hat-trick. She's done it twice. Can she do it for the third time? We'll just find out. But who is our biggest competition in this field?
Difficult to say. I think Azimeraw probably there. You know, she was in the press conference a couple of days ago. She didn't say a great deal. She looked like she wanted to keep her information to herself. But Sutume Asefa, you know, she is the athlete for the big occasion. She won in Tokyo earlier on in the year in March. Funnily enough, she ran and won the Tokyo Marathon, which is one of the world marathon majors. It's one of the massive, supreme marathons on the global scene. It's like the Grand Slams in tennis. But then she went to the World Championships in Tokyo a few months later and didn't run well at all. She finished way down the field in 27th place, and she said she was really shocked by the humidity because it was obviously the Japanese summer, whereas when she raced back in March, the conditions were very good.
And what do you make of the conditions? You said they are perfect for distance running, but how well do these athletes adapt to this kind of weather? Because it will get a little hotter as we get deeper into the race.
Yeah, no, they'll be fine. Look, I mean, these are three Ethiopians here. As I said, it's summer back in Ethiopia. They're used to training in the heat. That's partly why they train so early in the mornings. They train early in the mornings, they train later in the afternoons. But in the early mornings, it can get pretty nippy, actually. I trained, when I was there a couple of years ago, I went up to the hills outside at Addis Ababa, and it was quite cold. Right, back to this men's field. There you can see Joshua Cheptegei in the orange and white. And still, what, maybe 8 or 9 guys there? It's a good-sized pack. By the way, I've identified that they went through 9K in 25.56. They're still on 1:12.05 pace, so just about 1:12 tempo. And you can see Liche 28.49 at 10K. That's interesting, 28.49. Liche there is the athlete tucked in. The little athlete in the orange, the green is Levi Chalangat. So 28.49. I think they picked it up in the last couple of kilometres. I think maybe there's somebody shouting at them, giving them information that they need to accelerate a little bit. And then you just turn up the dial. I mean, all these guys should be feeling pretty comfortable now. They haven't reached halfway yet. They're just cruising along. So they've got the capacity to almost like turning a dial on your heating controls and upping the tempo a little bit.
28.29 at 10K. Are they still very much in context to breaking the record of 1:11.13?
Just checking. 1:11. Yes, actually, if they were 28.29, they have accelerated markedly. They're now down to about 1:11.15, a predicted finishing time, which, for my money, is pretty much bang on. Remember, the event record is 1:11.13.
The difference between the best and just who finishes second is just a couple of seconds, and that's the reason why it's extremely, yes.
The event record pace 29.15. They went through in 28.49, so they are on schedule to break the course record at the moment. Now this is getting really interesting. They've made a big change over the last few minutes.
This is intense, and remember, there is a record to be broken. It is 1:11.13. But
የዩቲዩብ ተከታታዮች ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰብ መሆን እንዳትዘነጉ። ላይክ እና ሼር በማድረግ ለሌሎች እንዲዳረስም አድርጉ።
He ran pretty well in 10K in Tokyo back in May, and then he ran very well in Cardiff in Wales in the UK in October, just outside 60 minutes for a half marathon. So he's a man very much on an improvement curve, Lecce.
This is for our viewers now. Let me just give you a profile of Joshua Cheptegei. Everything that Tim has just spoken about, there is something that is so distinctly different about this athlete from the rest. And there are his accolades. Let's just take a quick look at Joshua Cheptegei. Remember, he is here to make a difference. He is a double Olympian champion. And what more, Tim?
Goodness me, what more? Double Olympic champion, 5 times a world champion. He has world records at 5,000, 10,000. He's held the world record for 10K on the roads as well. He's very strong. He's very consistent. He doesn't race a lot. So when he does come out and race, there he is, second to right in the orange and white. He wants to make a success of it. He wants to run fast. He wants to make an impact on the world of distance running. You know, him and his sponsors and his training group, it matters to get this right. Now, this is interesting. Look at that forward lean of the little pacemaker, Chalangat. He's running aggressively here, and I suspect that's because Cheptegei has been shouting at him, come on, keep pushing it along, keep this healthy. I think Cheptegei wants to be redlining here. He wants to be keeping his foot right on the accelerator, so to speak, to put it in motoring terms, not to run a tactical race. You know, it's frustrating. If you're training very hard every day to run fast, when you go into a race that's tactical and people are jogging along and not really giving everything, you think, well, what am I training so hard for? So I like this philosophy of trying to make every race really tough, really hard from the start.
Well, you spoke about that kind of mindset, but apart from that, what makes Cheptegei so different from the rest of the field, or from anybody else participating in a race like this, in 25K?
His speed, endurance, his tenacity. I mean, we interviewed him at the press conference a couple of days ago. He's got an almost Zen-like presence. Very, very intelligent guy. Went to University of Kampala back in Uganda. He's eloquent. He thinks about what he's saying. He's actually a marketing man's dream because he's so smart. Now, this is interesting, looking at this elite women's field, and it does look like one of the challengers, Degitu Azimeraw there in the orange and white, has just eased ahead of Kebede. Kebede there to the right of picture is a slightly more flat-footed runner. She almost leans back a little bit. Sutume Asefa Kebede, to give her a full name. She plans to do the Tokyo Marathon again in March, so that's what she's preparing for. She speaks quite good English, actually, which is unusual for the Ethiopian women. Not many of them have learnt much English, or the Ethiopian athletes generally, but she has bothered to learn English, which really helps when you're trying to have a chat. But she is super strong. There she is, right of picture. I don't know if she's going through a bad patch or what, but she's the fastest in the field at the marathon. In fact, her best time of 2 hours 15 makes her the 11th fastest athlete in history.
Right. Well, you know, it's something that caught my attention when you spoke about the fact that she'll be participating in the full marathon women. Tim.
Well, I'm wondering what's happened here, because it looks to me like Kebede maybe has been dropped, and I suspect that Azimeraw there to the right with that long ponytail bouncing around, maybe she has said, okay, can you pick it up, please? Because she sensed that Kebede was in trouble, because it does look, and it's hard to tell from this angle, but I think maybe Degitu Azimeraw here, the 26-year-old Ethiopian, has turned the tables on her rival Kebede. And if that is the case, that's quite a big upset, and Kebede will not be heading for that hat-trick of wins.
The tides can turn any moment, though. But having said that, you did mention that they look forward to full marathons in the times to come. So do they treat the 25K as a preparation ground for the full marathon?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. And I mean, you know, obviously it's a similar distance to a half marathon, 21K. Just that little bit extra means you've got to dig deeper. But the thing about if you were to run 30K or 33K, you have to dig very deep, and it can actually detract from your training for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Whereas 25K, you can recover from this sort of race fairly quickly if you're an elite athlete. There's that pack, and that has certainly whittled down, hasn't it? That is it. And good to see that one of the Indians is right up there. Gulveer Singh in the white vest, right behind Joshua Cheptegei. He is the top Indian. He's the defending champion for the Indians. I wonder how long he can survive with this pack. Let's hope a long time. I mean, he is world class at 3,000 metres, 5,000 metres, 10,000 metres on the track. So these fellas, the likes of...
Cluster still waiting to break out. We're still wanting to see one of the stars from the international elite men to take the lead. But the pacemaker there is definitely pushing hard. Thanks to Cheptegei.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I don't know if Cheptegei has had a word with him or not. Just looking at some of these others, another athlete there in the pink, just behind Joshua Cheptegei, is Demilew Zemenaw. Now he's an interesting athlete from Lesotho, a small country that's landlocked, surrounded by South Africa. He's a great marathon racer. He was 3rd in the Sydney Marathon earlier on this year. He was 8th in Boston back in April. He was 2nd in Xiamen in China in 2:06. So he is capable of matching Joshua Cheptegei stride for stride. This is a nice race building here with 41 minutes on the clock, well past halfway.
Shows just how important the defense forces are for the sport of running, the backbone of distance running in India. And as we take a look, the elite international men are near the 15K mark. So we're past the halfway mark and the real racing is just about to begin. Let me give you some context on what we are watching right now. You do see Joshua Cheptegei, the man in Ugandan colours, leading the international men's pack. He's not just a two-time Olympic champion, he holds the world record in both the 5,000 metre and the 10,000 metre on the track. But this year, he's shown he can translate that track speed to road racing. He got Bangalore 10K winner, 27.53, Delhi half marathon winner, 59.546, and the Amsterdam marathon, he stood 5th with 2 hours, 4 minutes and 52 seconds. Take me through the leaderboard.
Well, Liche is going really well, 43.12 at 15K. That equates, by the way, to about, I think, a finishing time of around 1 hour 12. Now, Cheptegei here at the front, the pacemakers seem to have dropped out. Cheptegei at the front and pushing on, and this, I think, is a big decision moment for him. You can see they've made that climb up a hill there. They've negotiated those hills mid-race, and Cheptegei here has got to push on, I think. He's got to try and get a gap on the rest of that field and go into territory that they cannot go into. Basically, this is where his class will tell. This next few minutes, they're still behind the record pace, as you can see, by, what, about 10, 12 seconds. Maybe a bit more, actually, by my calculations. But Gulveer is hanging on. He's back in about 5th or 6th place there. He's going really well. But look at this. Cheptegei here turning the screw, testing the others, and all of a sudden it's back to single file.
But something to concentrate on, 11 seconds behind what the record here holds, which is what they're challenging is Daniel Abenyo's record, 1:11:13. If you split it, it's a 2 minutes 50 seconds per kilometre. Where do they cover up? Which part of this course?
Well, once they get these hills behind them, then he can really concentrate on getting into a quicker rhythm, stride out and finish strongly. I mean, this is probably the perfect distance for him, actually, Joshua Cheptegei. He is world record holder on the track at a couple of distances. He's held world records at 10K on the road. His half marathon time actually doesn't reflect his ability. I think he can improve his half marathon time by another minute or so. 25K for him is probably almost a perfect distance, and I think there's a question mark in his mind now. Does he push on really hard this next 10K because he's got he's got 9K to go, or does he ease back?
Yeah, we're at the 18-kilometre mark now, and just 7 kilometres to the finish. The leaders are digging deep, and you can see it in their faces now. They still look a little comfortable. This is where I would have thought in this part of the race there will be a little suffering, but no, they look very comfortable. And Joshua Cheptegei, of course, he's done before. He's here to do it all over again. The man has many accolades, but very comfortable, still strong, Tim.
He does look strong, yes. I mean, he'll probably start getting frustrated with this because he's almost acting as a pacemaker for these other fellas. Fikadu Lichi there, the 21-year-old Ethiopian right beside him with the red arm sleeves, has been feeding off him, so to speak, for the last 10 minutes or so. He is a 60-minute half marathon runner. He's not very experienced. This is a huge opportunity for Lichi. And you've got to remember, a lot of these East African athletes, the Kenyans and the Ethiopians, come from incredibly humble backgrounds. The vast majority of them are from farming backgrounds. This is a huge opportunity for an athlete like Lichi.
Right, just going to give you a profile to all of yours on Liche, and just behind Cheptegei, but you see another athlete making a run. Is that Simbu?
I think that is Simbu there.
That is Simbu.
Is that Alphonse Simbu?
Very, very difficult to read from here.
It's difficult to read that bit.
But something about Simbu that he has never lost a race.
No, it's Tekele.
Oh, it's Tekele. But something about Simbu, and we're just taking a look at the profiling of Liche. Tell me a little more about Liche, Tim.
Liche, well, he only emerged last year. He doesn't have many big races to his name. He's raced well in the UK back in October, actually. Only a couple of months ago, he ran a really fast half marathon just outside 60 minutes. He's relatively inexperienced, but what is interesting, you look at his races from last year when he was running 10K, and they weren't very fast, and now all of a sudden he's a 60-minute half marathon runner. So within a year, he's made huge leaps forward, Liche, and he's matching here a world record holder stride for stride after nearly an hour of running.
And so we've just transitioned to the elite women. Here are the women still in a cluster, but we see only 3.
Well, only 2 there. I mean, really.
Only
you can
2.
see there
Yes.
the flowing locks of Degitu Azimeraw, the 26-year-old Ethiopian, to the right of picture. Trying to see who that is in the all-black Meselech. Yes, now that's Meselech Alemayehu. She's just 19 years old, making a debut. She's having a heck of a run. She was recently third in Addis Ababa at altitude back home in Ethiopia in 32 minutes for a 10K. That was almost exactly a month ago. And I saw that last night and I highlighted it because I think 32 minutes for 10K at 8,000 feet is fantastic running. And actually in the same race last year, she ran about a minute slower. So she too has made massive inroads. There they are. They go through 17K in what, 53:43, something like that. And I can extrapolate from that the sort of tempo they're moving at. But this is a huge run from the youngster, only 19, Meselech Alemayehu, and she may be heading for victory.
Yeah, look at that form, look at that stride, and it's the final few kilometers of the race. But the athletes will be suffering at this point, but they ain't showing it, and that is pure grace under pressure.
Yeah, and 47:11, they're way inside the course record, I think, so from 47:11 at 15K for those women. I'm just going to take a look at what that actually represents. It is quick, there's no doubt about it. 47:11 for the top ladies. It means that 25K, they should come home in around 1:18:20, and the women's course record is 1:18:47. So at the moment, they could be heading for a new event record in that women's race, and it's a 19-year-old Ethiopian there in all black who's asking the questions.
And asking some big questions, but are you a little surprised that you don't see Kebede there?
I am, yeah, but maybe she's been training hard, putting in high mileage in preparation for the Tokyo Marathon, which is on March the 1st. I mean, it's what, 10 weeks or so away. But, you know, athletes have to prepare in the way they're used to it. And if she always does hard mileage at this time, high mileage at this time, then she's getting it right. And she will look back on this race and say, well, it didn't go brilliantly, but if she gets it right in Tokyo, that will matter.
የዩቲዩብ ተከታታዮች ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰብ መሆን እንዳትዘነጉ። ላይክ እና ሼር በማድረግ ለሌሎች እንዲዳረስም አድርጉ።
Comes to the Tata Steel World 25K yet again, and we are back to the elite men. There's some action here.
Well, there is, but it's still a pack of four, isn't it? Joshua Cheptegei to the left there seems to be the one constantly with his foot on the throttle, testing the others. But look at Liche. Are we going to get an upset here? It looks like we're heading for one in the women's race already, with a 19-year-old putting the pressure on the rest of the field. In the men's race, well, it's anybody's at the moment. There you can see Simbo in the purple in the middle. First chance we've had a chance to really get a good look at him, the 33-year-old Tanzanian. Simbo there in the background, in the purple. Here's the reigning world marathon champion. When he won in Tokyo at the World Championships 14 weeks ago, he caught the leader at the finish line and dipped like in a sprint race to win by 3/100ths of a second. And that is almost literally, it's a bit of a cliche, but it's almost literally the thickness of your vest. There are pictures of them both dipping at the line. There they go through 20K. Now that's significant, about 57:33 at 20K. That is a good indicator. It means only 5K to go. That's about just over 3 English miles. And I wonder if Simbu there is struggling a little bit behind this trio. He is a very, very strong athlete, silver medalist in the Commonwealth Games back in Birmingham 2022. He's really familiar with racing in India. He was 4th in the Delhi Half Marathon last year. He was 7th in the Delhi Half Marathon back in 2016. He's won Mumbai. He won Mumbai Marathon back in 2017, Alphonse Simbo. He's a very experienced racer on the Indian roads. We shall see how he goes this next 5K, but at 20K, there it is, 57:34. Ramakongwana, Tabelo Ramakongwana, is in the pink there beside Joshua Cheptegei, and he's looking strong, isn't he? Goodness me. 57:34 is the official time at 20K.
Well, this is anybody's race. It's the final 5K now, and this is where a champion will be crowned, whoever pushes the hardest in the 5K. Now, what are the factors that define a champion in the last 5K? What are the factors do these elite athletes keep in mind as they're approaching the business end of the race?
Well, the business end of the race, and as you can see, they're about 33 seconds off the event record at the moment, although Cheptegei has the caliber, the quality to push on and close that gap on the event record. But what's going through their minds at the moment? Well, Liche here, putting the pressure on. Can you believe it? He's got the audacity to take the lead from the world record holder at other distances, Joshua Cheptegei, and do the work here. And I'm wondering if this is Cheptegei saying, no, I'm not going to push for a fast time today. I just want to win the race. He looks lovely and relaxed there in second place, doesn't he? So I'm wondering if this is turning into a tactical affair. I mean, you could throw a blanket over the four of them, almost literally. And that just doesn't seem natural. With 80% of the race gone, somebody should be pushing here and breaking away. The chances of them all feeling exactly the same here are very small. So somebody has eased back and is playing a cagey game. And one or two of these four will be redlining and they're under pressure, and we'll find out in the next few minutes.
And then there you go, Joshua Cheptegei takes the lead yet again. But with everything that you just mentioned, Tim, this just seems like chess spread out over 25 kilometers. So what are the moves that we look street? It is an iconic street in Kolkata for some iconic restaurants, nightlife, and also Christmas is a big festival here in Kolkata, given the huge Anglo-Indian population, as this was the capital during the British Raj.
Yeah, and Cheptegei, I suspect, might head out for a bit of shopping this afternoon, but first of all he wants to get this race nailed, and he's doing just that. You can see Simbu in the background, probably about 60 metres back, 24 kilometres there in what, about 1:08:58, something like that. There's the 24K. It came up on screen very briefly, 68:48. I got it at unofficially. But he is heading here. I don't think we're going to see a race record. I think maybe the U-turns and the hills here have made it a little bit tougher than in years gone by. But the quality of his running here over this last 5K, and I want to see his last 5K split. It will be quite fantastic because he is flying here. He's working hard with the arms. He's got about 2 minutes of running to come. Predicted time 1:12:05. It might be a little bit quicker than that. It'd be lovely to see him get under 1:12. It's not going to be as quick as that 1:11:13 record. We've got to remember that when Degitu set that, he went through the half marathon in under 60 minutes, whereas the half marathon time today was 60:49. So if there was a virtual Daniel Degitu, the race record holder from 2 years ago, if there was a virtual figure of him on the road up ahead, then Cheptegei here would be catching him with every stride, but he's got to run out of road, and Degitu would win the race between them were he here today. Funnily enough, Degitu came back last year and was second, so it's a shame he's not here today to race this great champion. But Cheptegei here looking quite magnificent. 500 metres to run, and the time on the clock, 1:10:26. I think he's going to run just under 1:12 here. A little glance over his shoulder there just to check that he's done the damage, and he has done that. But Redeemer, it's been a magnificent run.
It really has. A quick look at the Indian elite women as well. Seema pretty much in contention. And taking a look at the final few moments in the business end of the race, the final few meters remaining in the race, and you do see Joshua Cheptegei. But are you really surprised at the fact that the kind of distance between number 1 and number 2, no Simbu?
Well, the foreshortening effect there makes it look smaller than it is. It's actually quite a big gap.
Yeah.
Cheptegei striding along towards the finish line. He's not sprinting here like it was a track race. There's no need. He knows he's got a good gap behind him. But what a battle going on with 200 metres to go behind him, because Simbu, the world champion from Tanzania, the world champion in the marathon, I think has been caught by the man from Lesotho, Tebelo Ramakongwana, the 29-year-old, making his debut at this distance in the red there, in second and third. There's a fabulous battle going on as Joshua Cheptegei storms home here to add his name to the list of great champions. Kenenisa Bekele was the world record holder at 5,000 and 10,000. He won here back in 2017. Cheptegei, 8 years later, takes the title here at the 10th edition of the Tata Steel World 25K Kolkata. His winning time unofficially 1:07:48. It was in fact 1:11:50. I'm looking at the clock to the left there, but that's a brilliant run from Cheptegei. And Gulveer Singh, what a run from him. He comes home in just outside 1:12, and that, I think, from the Indian is a course record, a race record by over 3 minutes. Gulveer Singh has just punched through a mass of barriers in the hierarchy of global distance running. He has made it through to world class in spectacular style on the roads here today. That is a superb run. It'll be the story of the day.
It truly will be a story of the day, and he's just etched his name in the history books, just what Gulveer Singh has been able to do. Joshua Cheptegei, of course, missing out on that world record here of Daniel Degitu, 1:11:13. But on the other side, Gulveer Singh making a new record for the Indian elite men and going past by a massive difference. This is a massive difference of a little over 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, astonishing because he hasn't just improved.
Transpires there. You only see just one woman if you get a close glimpse. Yes.
Yeah, tucked in.
It is the
behind.
26-year-old Ugandan.
Yeah, Degitu Azimeraw, the Ethiopian actually,
Yeah.
Looking strong. And the gap behind her, I can't see anybody. So the challenge from the youngster Alemayehu, her compatriot, seems to have wilted away. But she's close to 24k. Now remember the event record 1 hour 18:47. I think she's going to be a minute or so outside that here today. But it does look as though it was a bit of a tactical race on the women's side. And they had to contend, of course, with those same hills and corners as the men. But Azimeraw here heading for a big, big win. She won here in 2017 in 1 hour 26. She's going to be way quicker than that here now. I guess back in 2017 she was a youngster. She was just 18 years old or something like that. She's a fabulous marathon runner. We know she's got enormous strength. She was second in the London Marathon back in 2021 in 2:17. She's run a 66-minute half marathon. I mean, her credentials are unquestioned. She's actually run a very fast 10,000 on the track. So she's got everything. She's got every card up her sleeve here as Azimeraw. And she has turned back the challenge of Kebede, the double champion, over the last couple of years. She's turned back the challenge of the youngster Alemayehu, who was with her, some 15 minutes or so ago, as we see the elite men there with Kenny Benarik, the international event ambassador with a headband, one of the great global sprinters in the world scene at the moment. And actually, he's a fabulously strong sprinter, is Benarik there to the right in the pink shirt, posing with Joshua Cheptegei and Simbu and the others. But in glorious isolation here, Degitu Azimeraw. She said at the press conference a couple of days ago, I said to her, what got you into running, who inspired you? She said, well, my parents pushed me when I was at school, and then my inspiration was Tirunesh Dubaba, who was an Olympic champion, world record holder on the female side in Ethiopia, and Kenenisa Bekele, who won here back in 2017, was a multiple world record holder. So, you know, the Ethiopian youngsters coming through are lucky, Redeemer, because they have these mentors, they have these heroes to look up to, and it says almost subconsciously, it says to you, if they can do it, I can do it.
India needs exactly that.
And that's what you've got in India in cricket. You've got so many legendary players over goodness knows how many decades going back. Youngsters come into the sport and they know they can do it. They believe. And belief is so important.
It truly is, and that kind of belief is also needed in the sports of distance running in India. Though I'll be impressed with the kind of field that we see in the men's elite category. It has got depth now. We saw what Gurveer Singh was able to do this morning, and as very rightly mentioned, it was historic for us to see Gurveer Singh to be a part of the international elite women. But here she comes in. The lady's here.
Here she comes now, yes. Degitu Azimeraw has turned back all challenges over this last hour and 19 minutes or so. Got somebody to chase her, and she's working hard, rocking from side to side, pushing really strongly with 200 meters to go. The event record, well, that's 1:18:47 from Sutume Kebede 2 years ago. She's going to be just outside that, but she is now coming towards the line, 100 meters to go. She's going to be inside 1 hour 20. It's been a brilliant run from her. The 26-year-old is absolutely in her prime. She won her in 2017, so here she is, 8 years later, retaking the title. 1 hour 26, 8 years ago. Today she wins in 1 hour, under 1 hour 20. She's about 7 minutes faster.
የዩቲዩብ ተከታታዮች ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰብ መሆን እንዳትዘነጉ። ላይክ እና ሼር በማድረግ ለሌሎች እንዲዳረስም አድርጉ።
Clear victory. Truly dominant run from the Ethiopian.
A former Kolkata champion herself did it back way in 2017. She's been away, she's been building, and she's back with a bang. You can see the determination in the stride that we saw from her. She had a complete, huge gap between her and the lady who comes in second. And she wanted the title back, and she has it. Pure determination from Degitu Azimeraw, the 26-year-old from Ethiopia.
And the smiles we're seeing, the celebration, is because she's won the race. She knows she's won big prize money, $15,000 US for first place. But also because this, and there's Kebede crossing the line. Now has Kebede come in second place? Did she catch the youngster Meselech Alemayehu in the all black that we saw, about 15 minutes ago?
It does look like it, doesn't it? Yes, she has.
Wow, there's the youngster, but that's a fabulous run from her. 1:20.45 unofficially crossing the line there in her debut at this distance. And that is a massive leap forward for that youngster too. You know, it's sort of almost frightening how this production line of great Ethiopian youngsters comes through on the men's and the women's side. But Kebede there couldn't manage the hat-trick today. Azimeraw the champion.
But here's the question. If you were Kebede today, here's just another quick look at it, how Cheptegei finished the race in the international elite men. Couldn't break the record, but a very, very strong and determined run from the man.
Yeah, absolutely. But he showed them a clean pair of heels, didn't he, over the last 10 or 15 minutes? As did Azimeraw through the second half of the race. That was an even more dominant run from her. And this, of course, puts the stamp of approval on her plans for a marathon. She's she's a fabulously fast marathon runner. She's a 2:17 marathon runner, one of the fastest in the world at the full distance. So she's super strong. This is under distance racing for her. So I think when you go so well at 25k and you're training for 42k, you know you're on the right track.
But Tim, here's a question. What is Kebede thinking at the moment? She's done it twice. She was in for a hat-trick, but she misses out on that. Are you disappointed with the fact that, you know, you've not been able to secure a hat-trick, or as Kebede, you're still happy that you still have a position finish, a podium finish?
Well, she's finished second. I mean, it wasn't a disastrous day at the office. She is, about a minute and a half slower than her best time on this course, but she'll be happy with that.
All right, we've got our winners here. We'll take a short commercial break. You don't go anywhere, as we've got plenty more coming on the other side. You stay tuned.